Welcome to the Foundry by Forge College. Okay, today we are going to do something extremely satisfying. It's kind of like finally organizing that terrifying junk drawer in your kitchen. We are going to engineer an argument. Now, if you followed along in our previous lesson, applying the framework to case studies, you've got a ton of raw data sitting right in front of you. Spreadsheets, citations, operational metrics, it's all great material, but right now, it's just parts scattered on a workbench. In this explainer, we are taking those messy artifacts and transforming them into a precision-crafted comparative report. We're literally building a machine that clearly compares decentralization impacts across Web 1, Web 2, and Web 3. Let's get right into it. So, here is our assembly line for today. First, we're moving from raw materials to blueprints. Then, we'll build our three core components: the methods, the findings, and the recommendations. After that, we hit the quality control checkpoint, and finally, we'll be ready for final assembly.
All right, Section 1, Raw Materials to Blueprints. Let's take a look at exactly what we're bringing onto the factory floor today.
We are aiming for a total transformation here. On one side, you've got your raw artifacts, the operational metric spreadsheets, the reliability rules, and those comparative tables you've already built. And yeah, right now, they probably look like a beautiful, chaotic mess. But as you know, raw numbers and isolated notes don't actually make an argument. So our goal is to map those specific rows and cells into drafted components, a clear, readable narrative of methods, findings, and recommendations. It's a pure translation from raw data to structured, argument-driven prose.
Moving right along to Section 2, Component 1, the methods.
Okay, before we write a single word, we absolutely have to understand the core engineering principle of this entire project, and that is traceability. Think of traceability as the unbroken, undeniable link between a claim you make and the specific comparative table cell that proves it. Because honestly, a finding without a cited cell is like a gear floating in midair. It doesn't connect to anything, it doesn't spin anything, it's just a hallucination. If you claim a platform is highly decentralized, you've got to trace a solid line right back to the data point that proves it.
So, how do we actually draft this blueprint? Well, your method section should be a precise narrative, right around 300 to 650 words. You'll need to define your criteria selection, things like functionality or data control. Then, explicitly describe your operational metrics, pulling at least 2 metric IDs right out of your spreadsheet. Tell us your normalization rules, like how you magically converted raw numbers into a fair 0 to 100 scale. Detail your case selection, and finally, cap it off with explicit limitations. And hey, be transparent about data gaps. Admitting you don't know everything doesn't weaken your report. It actually proves you know how to handle real-world data safely.
Next up on the line is Section 3, Component 2, the findings. This is the engine that actually powers your report.
Now, here is a crucial rule that literally cannot be overstated. When drafting your findings, you must organize by criterion, not by individual case study. What does that mean? Well, instead of writing a middle school book report where you do one paragraph on a Web 1 case, then a Web 2 case, then a Web 3 case, you structure it around a specific metric, like data control. Under data control, you compare all the errors together. It's really the only way to emphasize cross-error contrasts and show the actual evolution of the web. To keep everything structurally sound, every component has to be strictly anchored to your data using this tight mapping matrix. Your methods section uses your M-level metrics to document your approach. Your findings section uses your T-level table rows to state your evidence-linked claims. And your recommendations? They rely entirely on the references established in your findings. It's a completely closed loop. Follow this matrix and your argument becomes totally immune to the critique that you're just making things up. Let's look at what a finding looks like in practice. For each criterion, you're going to produce 2 to 3 concise claims, strictly between 60 and 160 words each. Start with a bold summary sentence, give an explanatory sentence, and then, here's the magic part, add an inline citation pointing verbatim to a cell in your comparative table. Just like this. Governance centralization is higher in Web 2 platforms. See table row T3, source Smith 2022. Boom. You made a claim and immediately proved exactly where the numbers came from. That, my friends, is traceability in action.
All right, Section 4, Component 3, the recommendations. Let's talk about the actionable output this machine actually produces.
Your recommendations section will be a tight 250 to 700 words, and it absolutely must follow this exact 3-step formula. Step 1, state the actionable implication. Like, what should a designer or policymaker actually do? Step 2, link that action directly back to the evidence you just established in your findings. And Step 3, assign a confidence level to your recommendation. This formula ensures you're giving plausible next steps based entirely on synthesized data, not just, throwing darts at a dartboard.
To build real credibility here, make sure your recommendations are completely proportional to your evidence strength. If your triangulated sources are rock solid, stamp it with strong evidence. But if you only have partial data on some new Web3 startup, be honest and label it weak or moderate evidence. Crucially, you need to write down exactly what additional data you would need to boost that confidence level in the future. Recognizing what you don't know is the true hallmark of a great analyst.
Which brings us to Section 5, the quality control checkpoint, because no well-engineered machine leaves the factory without testing.
To pass instructor review and truly master this project, your draft has to clear 3 distinct quality gates. Traceability. Is every single substantive claim linked to a cell? Transparency. Are your methods and scales fully explained? And actionability. Do your recommendations provide clear next steps? Running this checklist is the perfect time to review your work. Or, if your brain is fried from staring at spreadsheets, it's a great moment to take a break and explore some of the other fantastic Web3 learning modules in Forge College's wider course catalog.
Now, I want you to be your own most ruthless, objective reviewer and ask this critical diagnostic question. Does the cited table cell match the drafted claim verbatim? Look, if you trade drafts with a peer and they cannot find your cited spreadsheet cell within 2 minutes of looking, your traceability completely fails. It's that simple. Go back, clarify the mapping, and fix that broken gear. When you survive all those checks, here is exactly what your final submission should look like. Provide the drafted text components in a single document, your PDF or Word file, but you absolutely must also include an annotated CSV spreadsheet excerpt. You actually need to highlight the specific cells and add comments so that whoever reviews your work can physically trace your engineered connections right back to the source. The bottom line, show your work.
Finally, Section 6. Ready for final assembly. Let's wrap this up.
Let's review your journey in this capstone. In the past, you built your comparative tables and gathered case studies. Today, in the present, you have successfully converted those scattered artifacts into precise, argumentative building blocks, methods, findings, and recommendations. And because you followed this strict engineering process, you are perfectly positioned for your next curricular step in the future, the final report synthesis, where all these components will just slide seamlessly right together.
So, I'll leave you with this final thought to ponder as you finish your writing. Is your argument a floating gear just spinning in empty space, or is it a fully connected machine, driven by data and engineered for impact? Keep that technical mindset front and center as you finalize your drafts. Thank you so much for joining me in this explainer. Be sure to visit forge.college to learn more about this subject, explore the rest of the capstone module, and access further educational resources to truly level up your Web3 expertise. Happy drafting, and I'll catch you in the next one.